He lunged at me with scissors and yelled, "I'm going to kill you." He was sweating, his teeth were clenched, and his blue eyes were filled with rage. He tried to stab me, but I was able to get the scissors away from him. The adrenaline made him unbelievably strong. I went to hold him back, but he scratched me across my throat and down my arms. And as small drops of blood began to fall from my neck, I started to sob. I didn't cry because I was being attacked. I cried because the attacker was my 3-year-old son. I held him tightly, both for my safety and his. He screamed, kicked, bit, twisted, and contorted for over 30 minutes. Then his body that was moments ago unmanageably strong collapsed. And with a sadness that is unimaginable, he looked at me and said, "Mommy, uppy, please pick me up." I didn't feel strong enough. Now, I know all kids act out and have tantrums. My son, Evan, who is now 13 years old, is severely mentally ill and takes this to a whole other level. I get that this is a sensitive topic, but talking about it is the only way to reduce the stigma, and mental illness affects all of us. I want you to do something for me. Take a moment and look at all the people sitting to your right. Get a good look. All the people sitting to your right. The other right. Now look at all the people sitting to your left. Statistically, 1 in 4 adults is mentally ill, which means if you didn't see that person, it's you. We have been through 2 extended hospitalizations with Evan. We've lived at the Ronald McDonald House, had dozens and dozens of specialists, more medications than I can count, had an in-home care provider for the last 6 years. We've been to therapy and more therapy and more therapy. We were on a roll, 3 months without a violent episode, the longest we've ever gone. Last month, Evan cut his own wrist. I really didn't feel strong enough. When was the last time you felt strong enough? Strong enough to handle life's struggles and setbacks and adversity. In my attempt to find solutions and coping strategies to help me raise Evan, I've discovered a formula that can transform tragedy into triumph. And not just the big tragedies, the everyday stuff that just weighs us down. And if you apply this formula in your life, you will, without a doubt, be strong enough to handle whatever comes your way. It's actually quite simple. Courage plus resilience equals triumph. Let's start with courage. Courage is the ability to do something that you know is difficult or dangerous. The mental or moral strength to persevere and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. Some days I view courage as the sheer strength to pull myself out of bed and face the day. Other days it's having clear boundaries and standing my ground. Hell, trying on a bathing suit is a total act of courage. Marianne Radmacher said it best. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, "I'll try again tomorrow." This definition of courage has been my lifeline. You know, interestingly, lobsters can teach us quite a bit about courage. I stumbled upon a video by Rabbi Dr. Abraham Twersky, who was explaining how lobsters grow. And he explained that as a lobster grows, its shell becomes constricting and tight and uncomfortable. It doesn't grow with the lobster. So the lobster actually has to shed its shell in order to grow a new one. When it's time to upgrade, it just scurries under a few rocks to hide from predators, and it waits for its new shell to grow, and it does this throughout its entire life, sometimes more than 20 times. The only way for the lobster to grow is for it to be vulnerable while it's building a bigger, better shell. A couple of life lessons here. First of all, if you're into lobster, go for the big ones because they are clearly living up to their potential. And two, discomfort is a catalyst for growth. Imagine for a moment that you are the manager at a local cafe. You're closing up for the night, it's getting dark, it's late, you start to walk home, and you hear footsteps behind you. But before you can even turn around, a man runs up and stabs you in the stomach. When you fall to the ground, he kicks you, grabs your bag, and runs away. Fortunately, somebody called an ambulance. The doctor tells you after surgery that aside from some pain and a little blood loss, you're in pretty good shape. The surgeon looks you in the eye and she explains that people who live through a traumatic event often develop post-traumatic stress. It can lead to irritability, anxiety, angry outbursts, and horrible flashbacks that force you to relive the trauma. But she has a pill, a memory-dampening drug that can decrease your recall of the night's events to guard against these symptoms without erasing the memory completely. Would you do it? Would you take that pill? When Elizabeth Loftus, a psychologist at the University of California, Irvine, asked 1,000 people that same question, 80% said no. They would rather keep the painful memory even if it came with a price. Our experiences, both good and bad, shape us. Courage is not the absence of fear or difficulty. Courage is being afraid and working through the discomfort. Like the lobster, it means you're vulnerable while you're building a new shell. If we use adversity properly, it can be a catalyst to help us grow strong enough. Then there's resilience. Resilience is the ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. Basically, your ability to get back up after you've been knocked down. Resilience is actually the proof that you are already strong enough. I was recently speaking at a conference in Philadelphia, and while I was doing a book signing afterwards, this guy comes up to me, and he just puts his hands on the table, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Dude, I thought my life was crappy. How do you keep getting back up?" I didn't know whether to take it as an insult or a compliment, but the question stuck with me. How do any of us get back up? It reminded me of one of my favorite toys from when I was a kid. A bot bag. Thank you. I've come to appreciate that we're all a little like a bot bag. Life knocks us down, and we get back up. Now, sometimes it might take a little longer if we've been hit especially hard, but we are designed to bounce back. Spilled a cup of coffee all over your brand new shirt. Your boss is furious because you missed an important deadline. Your partner just told you they cheated on you. Hitting it harder doesn't change the outcome. It just takes a little bit longer to bounce back. You see, we achieve strength through struggle. When we make it through a difficult time, we learn something. It's called post-traumatic growth. While we can't see it at the time, we're able to look back with perspective and learn from it. Given that the average person experiences 5 to 6 traumas in a lifetime, these seem like pretty necessary skills. I wish I would have learned them in school because I will tell you, I use resilience way more than I use algebra. There are a lot of ways to build resilience, but I'd like to share 2 that have had the biggest impact on my life. The first, expectations. Both the expectations that we have of ourselves and of others. And the second is gratitude. Now, I'm from Texas, and one of my favorite singer-songwriters is Ray Wiley Hubbard, and he has a lyric in one of his songs that combines both of these. He sings, "The days that I keep my gratitude higher than my expectations, well, I have really good days." I've learned that when I'm sad, frustrated, or disappointed, it's usually because my expectations and reality are out of alignment. I think that most people are doing the best we can. Nobody wakes up and says, "How many people can I frustrate and disappoint today?" If you were to lift the rooftops off of all of our homes, you'd see we're all dealing with something. So the first is expectations. Now, I'm what Brené Brown would call an aspiring good enoughiст or a recovering perfectionist. I've been like this my whole life. My mother recently reminded me that when I was 2 years old, I went on a hunger strike until I could tie my own shoes. It certainly helped me in some way, but it has fundamentally set me up to fail in others. It's hard to be strong when you never know if it's strong enough. Then there are our expectations of others. In psychology, the fundamental attribution error refers to our tendency to judge other people according to their behavior and assign it to their character or their personality, but to judge ourselves by our intent. So, for example, you see someone run a stop sign and you might think, "Dumbass, who do you think you are? Where are the cops when you need them? You could have killed somebody." You accidentally run a stop sign, what do you think? "Dumbass, I can't believe I did that. I hope the cops didn't see me. I'm so glad nobody got hurt." My life got a whole lot easier when I started giving people the benefit of the doubt. People really are doing the very best they can. Think about the last time you were in a restaurant or a plane and a baby was screaming. It is so easy in that situation to judge the parents, until you are one. I remember being on a plane when Evan was little, and a guy literally threw Tootsie Rolls down several rows of the plane just to get Evan to stop crying. Like I hadn't already tried that. If all it took to calm him down was some candy, I would have dated Willy Wonka. I remember being mortified. We're doing the best we can. Give each other a break and the benefit of the doubt. Gratitude is the second strategy in building resilience that has been an absolute game changer for me. Evan loves to fish. It's one of the few activities that forces him to be calm and patient. One Saturday, he was getting increasingly frustrated at not being able to catch anything. And when Evan gets frustrated, I get nervous because things can escalate very quickly. I looked over and saw this old man just chuckling, almost like he knew we needed an intervention. And he walked over to us and he said, "Well, son, what seems to be the problem?" And Evan clearly explained his frustration in not being able to catch anything. And the man said, "Well, son, it's called fishing, not catching." Evan was hysterical. And it was a great reminder that gratitude is a choice. Dr. Robert Emmons, a psychologist at the University of California, Davis, describes gratitude as having 2 stages. The first is recognizing what is good in your life. The second is recognizing that the source of those good things lies at least partially outside of yourself. He found that people who practice gratitude experience more positive emotions, relish good experiences, have improved relationships, even better health. And what's fascinating to me is that you don't even have to find anything to be grateful for. The simple act of looking releases serotonin and dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitters in our brain. Managing expectations and gratitude are 2 very powerful ways to build resilience. I used to think that courage and resilience were in your genetics, like skinny thighs. You either have them or you don't. But what I've come to appreciate is that these are skills, and they can very much be learned and cultivated. And whether we like it or not, life gives us plenty of opportunities to practice. The truth is, you are, have always been, and will always be strong enough for whatever comes your way. And I can prove it to you. By a show of hands, how many of you have survived the worst thing that has ever happened to you? Raise your hand. All right, keep them up. Keep them up. Look around. That's a 100% success rate. Those are pretty good odds. I'd offer you a challenge. The next time you're faced with adversity, don't run from it. It could be an incredible opportunity to practice courage and resilience to help you triumph. So shortly after Evan was admitted into the hospital the second time, I was diagnosed with a tumor in my salivary gland. I like to keep things interesting. We thought it was going to be a relatively routine surgery, but the tumor turned out to be the size of a small avocado. And because my facial nerve had stretched so far over the tumor, the right side of my face was now completely paralyzed. I couldn't close my eye. I drooled. I had a speech impediment. Every time I walked by a mirror, I completely lost it. And the scariest part was that nobody could tell me if or when it would ever come back. 2 days after the surgery, a small speck of dust scratched my cornea. So the doctor said, well, we don't know if your facial nerve will recover, so we're going to implant a gold weight into your upper eyelid, and we're going to stitch your bottom eyelid a little bit to protect your eye, and we need to do that before you start 6 weeks of radiation. So my mom decided to watch the kids. It was the weekend right before the eye surgery. It was right around my birthday, and my husband Jay and I figured, since we've been so lucky lately, we should go to Vegas. So we're walking down the stairs towards Caesar's Palace, laughing at the absurdity that is our life. And I looked at him and I said, honey, this is the best I felt since the surgery. I'm finally starting to feel better. Then I fell down the stairs and broke my foot in 4 places. You can't make this shit up. But now it's 2 years later, and I am standing here in front of you, and the next time you question your ability to manage difficult things in your life, I want you to remember that you have a proven formula for success. And the next time you question your strength, remember, you are courageous, you are resilient, and you are strong enough. Thank you.